Dylan, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
We tried to coordinate this yesterday, but that wasn't our day. But today is.
Wasn't our day.
It's
Made it
a
work.
This has a Saturday afternoon feel to it anyways. So,
It's very chill.
what are you usually doing at noon on a Saturday? What is your usual weekend plans? Are you going out to shows? Are you gearing up to be playing a show? What where do you kind of find yourself at this hour?
I feel like I'm usually doing my nails, um, maybe walking my dog, getting some air and sunshine. And yeah, maybe like seeing what's happening that night. Maybe going to a show. I don't know.
Very important things to be done on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself going to more shows now than ever, or have you kind of cut back on the going to shows?
It really depends, I feel like. I feel like I've been in like a period where like I'm really loving listening to music. And kind of just depends. I feel like I kind of go back and forth between being like, I need to like listen to so much stuff and like gather all this information to get inspired to like go see something live. But yeah, kind of goes back and forth. And then I'm like, oh, I want to just like see music and like see how people do things. So I don't know. I feel like I've been more in my listening stage right now.
That's good. That's
So,
good.
yeah.
What was your entrance into attending shows?
Well, I grew up, my dad would take me to shows as a kid. So we would go to like I grew up in San Francisco, and he would take me to like punk shows growing up. He grew up here and would go to like punk shows in LA. So my introduction was kind of through him, and then once I got maybe to like early high school, I started like going to shows, and yeah, there was not a lot of venues in SF growing up. I kind of was like there during a period where like a lot of things were going away. So a lot of the stuff I feel like we had to do ourselves, to kind of like have something to do. So there were a couple like all ages venues, but not a lot to do, I guess.
Yeah, it seems like in San Francisco, even now, it seems like there's a limited amount of places to see music.
Yeah, it's sad. Like it feels like I don't know, even like the Hemlock's gone. I know that's like not an all ages place, like it was a bar, but like even like bars are kind of going and stuff. But I do feel like there's like a slight resurgence and like I know there's a couple bands there that are playing like a lot in like North Beach, like doing like DIY shows and stuff. But yeah, there's not like a ton of venue spaces in SF anymore. And it's been a while since there has been anything, I feel like.
And me and you, we're gonna go up there and fix that, right? We're gonna open up a
Yep.
few venues. Cool.
Yep.
Which would be
Totally.
good. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Me and Dylan are coming up to SF, and we're gonna change things up there.
We're pulling up.
Well, yeah, we're coming back around. Yeah. What kind of shows were you seeing with your father? What kind of punk music was he into? What were some of the shows that stood out to you during those early days of going to shows?
I feel like going like he took me to see like The Damned, or we went to see 45 Grave. Um, which I loved 45 Grave. They have a song that sounds like the Teen Titans theme song. So when I was a kid, I would like go between like putting on my dad had like a 45 Grave 45 with Surf Bat, one of the song that sounded like Teen Titans to me. And I'd like go back and forth between like watching Teen Titans and then like putting that 45 on. So that show really stuck out to me. And I feel like that was like the first like rowdy show I went to. And I'm trying to think who else. Seeing like the adolescents was cool. I saw them a couple times, but I think the the show that stuck out to me the most was 45 Grave, probably. It's pretty cool. Don
Yeah.
playing drums, pretty cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Was that kind of your initial interest within music was sparked through that, through going to go see these shows?
Yeah, I also I don't know. When I was in this is like embarrassing, but when I was in third grade, I would not stop beatboxing. Like I just kept making all these noises with my mouth, and like my teacher was like, "She is fucking driving everyone crazy. You need to put her in music or else we're all gonna go insane." So honestly, out of her frustration kind of birthed my introduction to music. So I feel like honestly, shout out Miss Kim. She um, put me in that direction, and that was sort of like my introduction. Also, yeah, my dad just playing records growing up. Um, but yeah, I feel like it was something that was always in me and a little annoying for you know, the people around me maybe. But it ended up working out, I guess.
I would say
Um,
so. Also, I have a hunch that Miss Kim was kind of on the nervous end of this because she was also a fellow beatboxer and she's a little bit intimidated, perhaps.
I think so. She was like, she can't cramp my style. She's got to do something else.
Yeah, it's like I've already covered this, so yeah, you gotta move
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
And she didn't want to.
There's no.
Yeah, yes. I mean, she's not practicing like you were.
Yeah, yeah. It was constant.
Yeah, you. I mean, you're putting in the hours. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
no days off. I understand that.
Yeah.
Um, at what point did you start to make your own music? When did that kind of enter your world?
Um, it started the last year of high school for me. I think I'd always tried to do a little bit of stuff on my own, but my bandmate Cole, who I think you've talked to.
Shout out to Cole, and please go listen to that interview right after you're done with this one. Right,
Yes.
Dylan. Yeah, do a back to back exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Dylan and Cole. Yeah, shout out to Cole. Great musician as well.
100. But yeah, so we've known each other since we were kids. We went to the same after school music program, and we ended up going to the same performing arts high school. And towards the end of school, we started a band, now Sharpie Smile, then Kamikaze Palm Tree. But we started making music together and played some shows when we were in high school. And um, you know, we still have the band, but it was kind of on and off. He went to college and I stayed in SF. So that was kind of my introduction to playing music. I think that Cole really writing with someone that I've known for so long, and I can look at him and just know what he's thinking, and um, we have the same inclinations musically, and so that kind of made me feel confident in my abilities, just being with him in that way. So that's kind of how that started, I guess.
And that was your first band ever.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I had played with other people, but it was a little less collaborative. Um, so yeah, this was pretty much my first band.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Um, I remember him saying something along the lines of your guys' one of you guys' first shows, or maybe the first show, being like a graduation type of party thing. Was that?
Yeah. Yeah, it was our graduation recital. Yeah, it was a showcase, and yeah, it was funny. Still didn't know anything, so it was very just a bit of a disaster, but an endearing disaster.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's you weren't up to par with your beatboxing skills; those didn't line up yet. But now,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if I'm still there yet.
We'll see. I mean, hey, we're working on it. We're
Yeah,
working on
yeah.
it. After this interview, you're gonna go back to it, as we
Yeah,
all know.
yeah. It's my vibe.
And at at what point did you kind of start to pick up the drums? Was it shortly before starting Kamikaze Palm Tree, or was it around the same time?
So I started playing drums shortly after Miss Kim told me or told my parents to like put me in music. So I went to
Classic Mrs. Kim kind of
she just like
situation.
she just like is driving my life. She's my life force. But so I went to music lessons at the Mission Community Center. I went for piano and then I did not have the attention span for that. And saw that I could take drum lessons and I went and took drum lessons and then that was kind of like a trial period with my parents or like if you like this and you stick to it then you can do something a little bit more like full on and so I went to like a music program after that because I was into it that we like Cole also that's where I met Cole where we did like you know it would be like a band it would be like a cover band show so they'd be like okay we're gonna like learn all Beatles covers and you guys will like play Beatles songs or whatever so that was kind of like where it was like okay now you can like enter the music world a little bit more so I've been playing drums since I was in like third grade and
Wow.
when Cole and I started Kamikaze Palm Tree we were both in the jazz program at Oakland School for the Arts. So I was doing drums there.
Not
Doing
under the tutorship of Miss Kim.
no, unfortunately not.
I would say that that's a plus. That's a positive.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to break away from your mentor at some point.
Right. Yeah, you kind of have to start carving out your own thing. I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm sure Miss Kim understands that as well.
I'm sure.
Do you recall what it was about the drums that you were like, yes, this is for me. I really do like this. Was there something that stuck out to you about them?
I honestly don't know. Like, I think it just kind of made sense for whatever reason. Like, I guess that's the way my brain works. I don't know. Like, I think piano felt really hard, and then like as soon as I went to drums, I was like, oh yeah, this feels natural. Um, and it was a little bit easier for me to pick things up with the drums, for whatever reason. But I guess it's more of like an intuitive thing than like a I don't really know why, but it just felt like it made sense. Maybe it was the beatboxing, like the rhythmic aspect of it. I don't know. I think
I
also
would I would
like
say so, yeah.
yeah, just being like I was kind of like a hyperactive kid, like I was just like full of energy, so I think like that maybe helped calm me down a little bit, like having something a little more physical than like piano or guitar or something like yeah, maybe just help me like focus a little more to have like more things to do.
I think that's a good probability. I think you're onto something there, Dylan. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that there's something there.
You helped me figure it out, so
Hey, that's what we're doing here. That's what this podcast is all about, figuring stuff out,
yes.
decoding what's going on. That's the backbone of this.
Yes.
So you start Kamikaze Palm Tree, and I mean, this is right when you graduated in high school, right?
Mm.
Did you feel like after that first show that it was going to go on, like this was actually going to be a legitimate band, or did you feel at that point it's like kind of like a one-time sort of one-off gig?
I felt like it was gonna be a band. I also knew that like Cole was going to college. So like we just kind of were like I mean, I feel like when you're so close with someone, it's kind of like non-optional at that point where you're just like, we're just gonna do this. And like I didn't like when we were doing it, I never thought that we would end up doing the things that we did with like we've done with the band. But I do think that I like regardless of whether or not like that specific band continued forever, like I knew that like Cole and I would always play music together, which is kind of like Sharpie Smile now. So Yeah, I kind of was like, I knew that we were gonna continue, but I wasn't like, we're gonna like do all this stuff. Like I was very much like, this is just like fun and we're gonna do this and like we should, keep doing this.
Right, right. Well, I'm glad you did.
Me too. Thanks.
Was there ever a discussion between you two of like what kind of music you guys wanted to make with Kamikaze Palm Tree in those early days, or did it just sort of the songs just happen the way it happened?
Yeah, I feel like we would always kind of like do things based off of like what both of us were listening to during that time, which is kind of like why I'm like I love listening to music so much because I feel like I learn so much from listening. So like when we first started the band, we were really into like Deerhoof and like Melt Banana and I'm trying to think of like who else. Like just a lot of like I don't know, like either like more like arty bands or like a little bit like heavier band. Like we liked like Don Caballero and stuff like that. And it's cool because I feel like we'd be like, oh, we're both like obsessed with this song. Let's like make our own version of these, couple songs we're listening to right now. And like, so that's kind of, and I feel like our songwriting is still like similar in that way. We're like, it's like, we both kind of are always into similar things at the same time, which works out. And we'll both like, I don't know, we've made like a playlist being like, oh, we love these bands and these songs and like picking apart like things that we love about the songs. Um, just kind of trying to learn from it, I guess. I don't know if that answers the question.
No, it does, and that was a great answer, Dylan. I was right there with you.
Oh yeah, cool.
Is there an album from that era from the beginning of Kamikaze that kind of still sticks out to you that you still go back to and you go, wow, this has really been a crucial kind of album.
I feel like the Runners 4, the Deerhoof record, like that record is so amazing because there's so many like tender moments and like gorgeous melodies and at the same time like full force songs and just there's like so much creativity in it and even if it's like not music like the same music that we're like making actively like I feel like that like sentiment of there being like variation in the tracks and like tender moments and like a lot like I think my favorite thing about Deerhoof is how much like how many different like melodic elements will be happening at the same time and how they all kind of like blend in and work together. So I feel like listening to them so much as a young person and making music like around that has really like informed this idea of like integrating like melodies that like work off each other if that makes sense.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, because I feel like they're like the masters of that sort of thing and being able, I mean, I feel like that band can do like anything, you know, which is so cool.
Yeah, that seems like a common consensus with that band of people that I've talked to, and just because I really don't know their discography very much. I mean, I know who they are, but I haven't really delved in. I'm going to now though. I mean, after that,
Yeah.
and you wrote the little hype sticker for the last album, right? You were typing that out.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, 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 yeah.
I've beatboxed to this several times.
Right, right,
Best
and
album of the year.
very famous quote now
Yeah. Yeah.
in and around the music industry.
Yeah.
But with that band, it seems like that anybody who comes across it, I mean, even at any point in their lives, but like especially like in the younger, like teenage years, like early 20s years, it really makes an impact on them.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, they're just like, they're really incredible. Like, I love Chris Cohen's music too. And I've like met him over the years, and I feel like when I first met him, I was just like, oh my God. And I still feel like that. Like when I like talk to him sometimes, I'm just like, oh my God, you're amazing. You know?
Always, always in a whisper.
always in a whisper, I'm like, you're amazing.
Hey, hey, good to see you. You're amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, just manage.
Yeah, I've done.
It gets quieter every time though, right? You go,
Yeah. Just like a little bit further away, a little quieter, more hand gestures.
right, 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 right. Which is understandable.
Yeah.
I-
Front of
Once
your
you
eye.
guys become closer,
Gotta get more distant.
right,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
but the space is felt and ultimately brings you closer.
I think so.
That's all making sense now. I'm with you. Do you remember the first song that you and Cole worked on together?
Hmm. Oh my God, the first song. I don't know, because I feel like, again, like going back to being like a hyperactive person, like I'm like, would be like, what if we did this? And then what if we did this? And then it end up being like four different songs that we like did.
Striking
So
while the iron's hot.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
This might not work for this, but maybe it'll work for this, so let's save this. So I don't really remember.
it's a good
But
process.
yeah,
It's a good
yeah,
process. I like that. Put a
totally.
couple things in the fire, let it marinate, and come back to it later on.
Definitely. I also feel like a lot of the stuff for Good Boy, um, we worked out like adding more of the creative stuff in the studio with the engineer, Spencer Hartling. So I feel like that's been like a big part for us too, is like working the songs out and then like letting them shift a lot in the studio. So they end up like getting another life, I guess, if that makes sense.
Right,
It's a little hard to remember how they start, you know?
but you see them there and you go, okay, well, it's here now. However,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
whatever the catalyst was.
totally.
Do you write songs now with a little bit of room, if you will, knowing that it will shift through like the process of hashing it out, bringing it into record and everything else?
Totally. Yeah. I feel um like for the record we're working on right now, like I feel like this has been the biggest one that shifted, where it's like one song we like went in with just like three chords
Good
and
start. Good start.
great start. And it ended up turning into like a completely different like genre. I don't know. Like I feel like that's probably normal for a lot of people. I don't really know, but um definitely at least with this newest record, I feel like we've done that the most where it's just like, okay, we have like because I like don't we've been demoing in Ableton and I'm not like I'm so inept at that sort of stuff and I'm just like I'll always like start recording in the middle of like a bar in Ableton and everything's like shifting all fucked up and I'm like, oh my God, this is like a mess now. And so like it does leave a lot of room for being like, okay, now we're gonna have to like change the arrangement in the studio a little bit and like organize things in the way that they shift back because I don't know how to like count in a way when I'm like working on stuff. It ends up like shifting everything in a way that ends up working out, I guess. But again, I think that's like that like scattered brain vibe. It works for me, I guess.
If the music's getting done and if it sounds the way that you want it to sound,
It's
who
all that.
cares? You create something new with it once you're
Yeah.
making anything in it.
And it's cool. It's so malleable and like you don't I mean, I don't know if this is correct, but I feel like you the less I know about something, the more fun it is in a way. Like I'm kind of glad I didn't go to music school because I feel like it would have fucked my brain up and like having limited access and being like, "Oh, I'm gonna like do this thing that might I may have thought was dumb to do if I went to music school." Like ends up being like the thing that I really love about it,
Right.
which
Right,
I don't
because
know.
you're not working in parameters that are already set. You're working beyond that and making something new.
Yeah, totally. And it's like I don't know if it's like I don't know if that's correct. I mean, obviously, I do wish I had more knowledge about certain things, but I do. It's almost like some of my favorite bands are like you can tell that they were like self-taught or like I don't know, they like had their own way of going about like the raincoats. I don't know if they're self-taught, but like there's like elements of their songs are I'm like this is so cool and creative and I feel like comes from like this like from themselves more than like maybe like a full
Institution kind of
yeah.
training.
Which there's nothing wrong with institution training as well. Like that knowledge is so valuable, but I think for
But
myself,
but but it's not for us. That's what you're saying.
for certain people. For myself, I'm glad that I didn't.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I like that, Dylan. I like that you said, "Fuck this noise. I'm going my own way."
Yeah, guess so.
Yeah. What and I talked to Miss Kim before this, so that's what
Yeah.
she said.
That's all I needed was her training.
Right, right. And I don't think she's doing lessons anymore, so it's like I think you were like one of the last people
Yeah.
to yeah,
It stops here.
right. It I mean she's busy anyways. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Understandable. Um, did most of the songs from the earliest writing sessions to your recollection make it onto the hand that or the hand faces upwards? And was that the technical first release of that of from Kamikaze?
Yeah, we had yeah, pretty much. Like we had put out like a record before that, The Ocean is the Solution, but um we didn't end up like liking it that much, so technically the first release is The Hand Faces Upwards, and that was like recorded so like so busted. I can barely remember how we recorded it, but like I think we just I might be wrong. Cole probably remembers better than I do, but I think we just like put a mic up to like the PA and just recorded us playing it like that, which is
I don't see the problem with that. I think that that's what they teach in the institutions. Yeah.
it's not what they teach in the institution, but it worked out for us. Um, I mean, it sounds insane. I actually haven't listened to that in so long, but yeah. Yeah, some of the like earliest songs we wrote are on that for sure. And then definitely after that, probably yes, like right after that we wrote like Good Boy stuff. Yeah.
And this first the technical first release was what was that again? One more time?
The Ocean is a Solution, but it's not up
It's
anymore.
not yeah. The
Not good.
the long launched album Record Store Day 2025. Look out for it. Might get a reissue.
Yeah.
Um the songs from that album were
Mhm.
those from also kind of that writing period, that first writing period that you guys sat down and started creating stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I would yeah, they are. It's just like stuff like high school music, high school musical, you know? We're just like, I don't know if this was the best music I've ever made, you know? So,
And again, you can be the judge of that. Again, Record Store Day, April 20th, 2025.
there you go.
Um, did you feel like the hand faces upwards? I mean, or do you still feel like that is the sort of start to where you guys are at now musically?
Yeah. I also the reason that record doesn't have a lot of drums on it because I injured myself. So we were just kind of trying to like I like learned how to play drums a weird way where I ended up getting like a weird wrist injury. So we were
Ooh,
trying to like make a record during that time where we could like still play music, even if I couldn't play drums. Um, I ended up working it out. My wrists are fine, but
yeah. Just real quick side note: do you play the drums differently now?
I do. And actually, I went to a Deerhoof show and talked to Greg, and asked him. I told him like, oh, I like injured myself playing. Um, this is how I'm playing, and he told me like how to play a normal way, and it totally fixed my drumming, and now I'm not injured. So I was playing in a way where like I was going against the natural fall of my wrists. So I was like creating all this tension and like repetitive stress. And then I just literally like play with the fall of my wrists now and it fixed it, which like totally makes sense. It's like you just hold your sticks like that,
Right.
you're not
So
going a weird way.
absolutely. So just for the people at home, if you need to solve a problem, medical ailment especially, go and talk to your favorite musicians and see what they do,
See what happens.
and they'll give you the proper advice, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Good deal. I always heard that that was the case, but I didn't want to bring it up on the podcast until I knew that it was
Verified
true.
information.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I do appreciate that, Dylan. Thank you for verifying that.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm glad to hear that the wrist is healed up,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's been a long time, but yeah,
but you're back.
I'm back. I'm back.
Uh, what were some musicians, maybe not bands, but musicians, drummers specifically, that stood out to you?
I feel like, well, definitely Greg. Um, and I really like Tony Williams playing. And I feel like, I mean, he's played with so many like jazz greats at such an early age, which is really inspiring. And um, like his record, Tony Williams' Lifetime, is like amazing. I'm trying to think who else. Stella, who plays with Warpaint, she's incredible, and I've been like lucky enough to play some of her drum parts live and like kind of getting to pick her brain in that way. Like learning her drumming is like so cool, and I feel like it's like helped me with like I don't know, she has this amazing ability of like having a different feel in like every limb, and I feel like getting to practice that a little bit has helped me with my like my feel a lot, and just being able to be like swung with your hand and then like really straight with your other hand and then
But
like have
not too straight. Not
not too
too straight
straight
with, yeah.
and then have your foot in between. So, like I'm like you can be a drummer and then you can be like a drummer with like insane feel and that will like change everything, and she's like one of the, I don't know. I love her drumming. So those are definitely a couple people that have stood out to me. Very different drummers, but all so like cool and special in their own ways.
That's awesome. Uh, Going back to you kind of listening and listening to music and kind of just taking it in and really absorbing it. Would it be like in the car or just sitting at home? What's your modus operandi on that?
I feel like in the car, also I'm trying to think like I listen a lot at home, but in the car I feel like is where I do the most. And this is like stupid and nerdy, but like I feel like listening like on headphones and then like just through your like phone speaker and then hearing your car speaker, like you get so many different things. Like I feel like AirPods, which this might sound dumb, but like however they're made, I don't know. I'm not, like whatever. They like bring out different frequencies and stuff in songs. Like I noticed that with like when we were like mastering Mint Chip, like some of the songs sounded so different on AirPods specifically. Like this like really like this different frequency came out during that song Cole's Milk. I don't know if you know, whatever. Um so I always like try and like listen on different like formats, even if they're like, and honestly I feel like the shittier the better, because I feel like it's like I don't know, you get something different out of that, you know? But and like most I don't have like super nice speakers, so it's like that's the way I'm gonna hear it, you know? Um
Right, right.
but I feel like I get so much specifically listening in the car and not being from LA and like driving around LA listening to things that inspire me in like a new area feels really cool. Just being like open in general. But I definitely feel like I also listen to like the same song over and over and over and over again. Um, and I feel like I like hear something different every time. Which is why I think I do that, even though it probably kills everybody around me. But yeah.
Have you killed a song for yourself that you've overplayed it to the point that you're like, I'm good with that. I once liked that song, but now not anymore.
Oh my God. I mean, honestly, I feel like I do that to almost everything I listen to. Like, not to the never to the point where I don't like it anymore. I feel like I listened to Queen so much as a kid that I kind of don't like. I like Queen, but I cannot listen to Queen.
Right.
Um, but I never end up disliking it. I just like will find something else. Just like, okay, I've killed this song. I'm gonna listen to something else now. Even if it's on like the same record, I'm just gonna get obsessed with like a different song on the record or whatever.
That's really interesting. I feel like that happens less. That you're really honing in on one song from one out from a specific album, and then you go like, I don't know, two tracks over, and then that becomes the thing that you're fixated on.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like especially with like I've been listening to so much pop music. Um, so much pop has like the records have like a story arc or like there's kind of like each song connects in a way. So it's like obsessing on each song and like hearing the way that they connect and like start and stop and blend into like the next part of the story or whatever. Um, Getting obsessed with like the story of it and the way that the songs live has been really interesting to me. So I feel like getting obsessed with like a whole record, um, it's been fun.
You're just having a ball every day, Dylan. I love it. That's awesome.
It's like honestly hard to like hang out with people because I'm just like always like I gotta like I don't know. I love
You got to whisper to some people, and you got to listen to some tunes,
yeah, exactly.
and that's the way you got to do it. You know,
I do it.
right? Understandable. Totally get it. Um, was it after putting out the hand faces upwards that you started working with Tim Presley on White Fence?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember like the timeline, but yeah, so Cole I think was at college and I was like just working and living in SF and Tim moved to SF and we had a mutual friend. So I met him and yeah, he needed a drummer around that time. So during that time, I feel like mostly we are just like hanging out a lot. Um, and we, would play some shows. But yeah, around that time, writing Good Boy and stuff, I was hanging out with Tim a lot. Yeah.
And did you work on? I have to. I correct me if I have this wrong. I have to feed Larry's hawk. Is it
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to or need to?
I have to.
Have to.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, a little bit. I played drums on two songs, but Tim played drums on the rest. I think it
That's
was
awesome.
good. But yeah, I just did two songs. It was really cool.
J just like it's nothing. That's amazing. That's great, Dylan.
It
Miss
was
Kim
really
would
fun.
be proud.
Yes.
That's yeah, that's really amazing. Did you feel like you guys kind of gelled, in a sense, kind of like you and Cole did, that you guys understood each other musically when you started kind of playing together?
Yeah, I mean, like, I, so, like, with White Fence stuff, like, that's, like, all Tim. And, like, when I went to the studio to play drums on those two songs, like, he was like, oh, can you do this thing? So, in that instance, like it's not collaborative, but I feel um, like as people and musically, like I feel like we like align a lot. So, like when we would hang out, I feel like we wouldn't like talk about music that much. Um, but like, I mean, he like kind of grew up doing like punk stuff. Like he had his like hardcore band. And so I feel like we connected a lot in like being like young people growing up in punk, and kind of like getting more into like experimental stuff, I guess. Not even like experimental, but like, like the Red Crayola or something, and like Mayo Thompson and like Slap Happy or whatever, like just kind of like more into that sort of stuff. But I feel like because we outside of like Mint Chip hadn't collaborated a lot on music, I feel like listening wise we always like vibed on the same things. And like I would send him like I'm pretty sure I like sent him like the songs from Good Boy and would ask what he thought and stuff. So it's definitely like really valuable for me to be able to like ask his opinion, since we like came from a similar musical background and grew up in a similar way. And I just really like trust his process on music. And like I like outside of like playing a White Fence, like I love White Fence. Like Tim is such a like fucking genius. So it felt like, I mean, and it still feels like such a privilege to be able to like pick his brain about music and like send him what I'm working on and hear what he thinks. So I feel grateful in that way.
Again, people just have to just know their favorite artists and pick their brains.
There you go.
That's the main takeaway from this episode.
Yeah. It's
No, that's fantastic. That's amazing, Dylan. Um, is there a specific White Fence song that you remember honing in on for a time?
Oh my God. That song Anna, um, I don't remember what record it's off of, but I would literally like be hanging out with Tim and I'd be like, hey, Anna. Like, um, but I don't, that song is like amazing. Like, that's definitely a song where it feels like there's like, I mean, I feel like all of his songs have this, but it's like a cool story in it and it's so creative. And um, when we play that song live, we do like beat flipping stuff. So it was just like a fun song for me to play. And I'm trying to think what else. A lot of the stuff off the Wink like really broke my brain. Like I think like I mean Kate is such an insane musician, and like their two brains together is just like in like perfect.
And for the people at home, Kate LeBon
Kate
is
LeBon.
who we're referring to. What were the two songs that you played on for I Need to Feed Larry's Hawk?
I played
Sorry,
on.
I have to. It was have, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
cool. My
Um,
apologies to Tim and everybody else.
God, he's gonna
Sorry.
be so mad.
I know. I know.
Um,
I'm gonna have to whisper it next time I see him.
yeah,
I'm sorry about that. I'm very sorry about that.
exactly. I played on Forever Chained and Until You Walk.
Okay. Very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
I have that album as a cassette. It was one of the few like double cassette ones. I forget what you'd call that kind of casing, but the casing's like thicker
Yeah, yeah. It's a
as
big.
you it's a hefty album, yeah. Um it doesn't fit on that shelf. It's on top of it. That this row of cassette things behind me for the folks at home that are listening.
Yes. Too
Um
thick.
Were you working on I Had to Feed Larry's Hawk before Good Boy, or Good Boy came first, or kind of within the same period?
I think we worked on Good Boy first. I think we were actually. I think we might have been recording at the same time. I can't remember. I think well the albums came out the same year, so I think we were recording them at the same time. And I know Tim came to, because we recorded it at Tiny Telephone in SF with Spencer Hartling, and I remember, or maybe he didn't come. Tim and I like did something like we just like did a couple songs there. I think I'm confusing, thinking that he came to a Good Boy session, but him and I think just recorded one song there. I don't remember what it sounded like.
Whatever the case, you and Tim were at that studio at some time working
Yeah,
on something.
something, but yeah, we were like both. I think I went to, I can't remember the name of the studio he recorded I Have to Feed Larry's Hawk at, but I think I came there just one day, and then Tim and I were at Tiny Telephone together one day. So it's just
Because
like,
you guys work quickly together. You guys are like that. Like let's go. This is
yeah,
expensive. Yeah,
yeah,
we got you're a one take and done kind of a thing. Like let's just get it done perfectly the
yeah.
first time.
Time is valuable.
Right, right. And you're not paying for overtime. We're doing this now.
Yeah.
Strict and to the point. I like it. So that was that Good Boy album completed before you moved to Los Angeles?
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, it was completed. I moved to LA December 2019, and so it came out before I moved here. But yeah, so we finished it when we were both, I think Cole was out of school. I can't remember if Cole was out of school by then, but um
I forgot to ask him, and I do apologize, Dylan. So that's on me.
it's all good. I mean,
All right.
yes, it was definitely before I moved here.
What year was the first show? That graduation show.
2015. But the
Okay.
funny thing about this band is like I feel like so Cole went to school, so we would like write music together for like school breaks and then not do anything for a long time. So it's like we've been a band for a long time, but I also feel like it's like part of the high school stuff was just kind of like almost like a different vibe. Like it was just like a different band almost. And then um like I feel like we kind of didn't really do the band super hard until 2019. And this is also like the first time because I was like gone touring with Kate once he got out of college. So like we've kind of never done the band full time until kind of recently. Like we both tour with different people still, but like I feel like in the past 2 years was the first time we really have done the band, even though we've been a band technically for a long time. If that makes sense.
But the lure surrounding it is just like making people like, when are they gonna tour? I think it's really smart. It's a good business tactic.
Gotta want them, keep them wanting more.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And you guys personify that, and I appreciate it. What was working with Kate like? Was that were you introduced through Tim? Was that kind of the connection between you two?
Yeah, yeah, I met her through Tim and I mean, it's like amazing, as I'm sure you could imagine. Like, um I like I don't know. I've never played music with someone whose sense of time is so incredible. Like, and I feel like listening to songs where like Stella's playing drums and it's like Kate's brain and like learning those songs like has been so important to me as like a musician, just like also like working in the parameters of like I don't know, just like I don't know, her brain is just so amazing and like being another woman musician and she's so inspiring and so smart and like um her sense of time is just so incredible. Like it's been so amazing to me to be able to be a, like inside of her brain in a way. And just kind of like playing music and shows with her like I don't know, like the way that she carries herself and her like presentation and her musicianship has been like so cool to be able to like observe and be a part of, and like it's like so important to me. Like I feel like goosebumps, like even talking about how like I don't know how special she is, and just like I don't know, getting to like talk to her about just like life stuff.
I mean, if anybody's gonna talk to her, it's gonna be you, Dylan, and we know that. Uh, that's incredible. Do you feel like you observed her enough to kind of learn how to incorporate some of what she was doing on stage to what you do on stage now, or do you think that she helped inform kind of your presence on stage?
Yeah, like I feel like stage presence is something that's just like so personal to the person, the artist, the musician or whatever, and like
I like the person. Just if you're
person,
gonna ask me, yeah, I
yeah.
like that. Yeah,
Um, so I feel like yeah, like seeing the way that she like it's almost like seeing like the way that like other women hold themselves on stage. Um, that I feel like has been the most like informative thing to me is like seeing the way that she like presents herself in that way where it's just like she's so like powerful, you know? I think that was like the thing that felt so like even before I played with her and like seeing like Drinks play and seeing Kate play, like I was always just like, wow, like she like carries herself in such an amazing way. And it's like not even like I'm trying to think like I don't know, it's just like her, you know? So I think
right.
like seeing someone being so themselves and carrying themselves in such an amazing way has been informative to me and just like, oh, I can like carry myself as myself. And this
However
is,
you want to, however, yeah,
yeah, and it's like it's intuitive, like she doesn't put anything on and um in terms of like a show, you know? So it's like, I don't know, it's cool just like it's like her being herself and like that being enough and being
and that adds to the show,
yeah.
which is yeah.
Yeah.
It's it really says something when somebody is described as being themselves. Like Kate is like Kate.
Hmm.
Like that really says something.
Yeah.
Was there a Kate song that you got really obsessed with at some point?
Oh my God. Well, when she sent me, when she asked me to be in her band and sent me Reward, I put it on and I just like started crying. Like, first hearing Miami, like I was just like, oh my God, this is like insane. But I feel like that song Mothers Magazines, that's like a perfect example, like similar to like the Deerhoof songs, where it's like there's all these different melodic elements working together to like build and uphold this like insane song that's like so cool. Um, and almost it feels like the rhythm of the melody is a melody in itself, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So I feel like I really obsessed over that song, and um also from Pompeii, I really obsessed over Remembering Me. Um, just like there's so many cool, like I think my favorite part on that record from Stella's drumming is like she did so many cool like fills that kind of like bled over the next measure, um, where you'd almost like kind of had to like reset the drums in like a different way. And I feel like there's so many cool elements in that song where that happens. And like honestly, throughout that entire record, like there's so many cool, like almost like it feels like you're falling over the song and like coming back, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're just about to fall over, but then it pulls you back in and you're right side up again until you're tilted back the other way.
Yeah, totally. And I had like a very similar thing when I heard Pompeii. Like I was just, this feels like the perfect like next record after Reward. Like it like so emotional and melodic, but like has this cool new sound from Kate that like felt really powerful, you know.
And how many times has that been said, or maybe that's a really rare thing to be said about the follow-up album is a perfect album to the previous album. I mean, that
Yeah.
is something that's like seems super rare.
Yeah, I mean, I it feels like I love like I feel like my favorite artists are ones that like the whole thing is like a story, you know? I know I said that earlier, but like it's like a continuation of of itself, if that makes sense. Where it's like I
Hmm.
feel like FK Twigs, like I feel like each album has its own thing and she'll like there's like a whole nother art concept. Um that it's just like so cool when like the entire album is like an art piece through and through, you know, and feels like this like I don't know, continuation of like yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like Taylor Swift does.
Yeah, she pulled up. Honestly, I listened to some of that record, that whatever it's called, like the Dead Poet Society or whatever. Is
Yeah.
that what it's called?
Yeah.
I got like a little bit into it. Not
Okay.
like into the songs, but like I listened to some of it and there were a couple production moments I wasn't mad at. But that is to say, I try and listen to like most things and find something to enjoy about it, even if it's insufferable.
And we're gonna name all the insufferable ones on the Patreon. We're gonna be naming names there. We're gonna be telling you who we
Yeah,
don't whisper to, who we do whisper to. So check us
that's
out there. Yeah.
how it goes.
Uh, so after that tour with Kate, did you move directly to Los Angeles after that?
Yeah, I was like touring so much with Kate that I wasn't living anywhere. I was just like staying with my dad in SF. So I was like, okay, I had some time off. So I just was like, I've always wanted to move to LA and like I have family here, so it made sense to do it then because I wasn't like attached to anything.
You got major family in a lot of major cities.
Yeah.
Houston, Bangor, Maine.
Exactly.
Portland, Maine. A lot of places in Maine.
You know what? I had the best oysters in Portland, Maine.
For real.
For real. Yeah,
Okay.
like in October.
This is all right. Well, that's kind of a bit ago though. That was so no more better oysters than that in last October.
They were great for being there. I had some
Right.
great oysters there, I should say, instead of the best oysters. They were
Well, I
great.
mean, hey, there has to be a best, and it may be there.
It may be there. I mean, it was more of like a vibe thing. It was like a place on the water, and I was like, this is really nice.
The oyster vibe. Right, right, right.
Oyster vibes.
Um, did you and Cole move at separate times to LA?
Yeah, he moved slightly before I did, but only like a couple months before. Yeah.
Do you kind of feel like he's more ingrained in the music scene because he got here a few weeks before you did?
Yeah, it made a huge difference. Well,
Uh,
I feel like in a way I think he is, because I've been gone so much. And so I feel like in a way he is probably, which is cool. I get a little, I mean, he's also gone a lot, but like when I was touring with Kate in 2022, I was like literally gone the entire year. So like I feel like I missed out on like a year of being here.
hanging out. Yeah.
Yeah, knowing what was going on. So I feel like I know he did stuff too, but yeah, he's probably a little more ingrained than I am.
I appreciate you admitting it here. And I know that that's difficult.
It weighs heavy on my heart.
Yeah. Um, w- did it become easier to, or do you guys feel like you reconnected in musically After you guys moved to Los Angeles, do you guys feel like, okay, we're here at the same time doing music?
Yeah, I mean, so he lived somewhere else here when I moved here, and then we found an apartment together. He actually went and found an apartment for us when I was on tour, and so we lived
Because
together.
he knew people and he
He knew people,
knew, yeah,
and I knew nothing.
right.
Um,
Well, I mean, you were out of the loop.
yeah,
What are you gonna do?
what are you gonna do? Got to make it work.
How to make it work?
So I like came here to an apartment, which was pretty crazy, and we lived together for the first year. I lived here, and yeah, I feel like well, the pandemic happened shortly after moving here, so we were just kind of like in our apartment writing music all the time, which is like how Mint Chip kind of came to be. Um, but it was definitely like a different writing style because before, when we were in SF, like we would make songs in Cole's parents' basement, and now we were like in an apartment together, and there was no drums or whatever. There it was just a different way of writing, so we were like demoing into Ableton and trying to like write in a different way, which I think is why Mint Chip has ended up being pretty different from Good Boy. It was a little less drums based, I guess, if that makes sense.
I'm with you. Did it feel different making it in a different city, in a different environment during a different time frame? Did these outside sources also contribute to that album being different?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we were so young. Like when we were writing Good Boy, I mean, I was like 20, 19, 20, I think, when we were the 1920s. When we were
It was the 1920s,
19
early
early 2000s. No,
the
but
1920s to early 2000s. That was kind of
yeah, that was the time frame.
that was the time frame, roughly.
Roughly, yeah. So just being like adults, like a little bit older, like I feel like that like time frame between being like 19 to like 22, you just like get a like emotional growth spurt where you're just like, oh, I'm kind of like turning into an adult in a way. So I feel like not being like kids anymore, but still being really young and being in a different place, having to write differently, and also Mint Chip is so unserious in a when we were writing it in a time that was like pretty heavy, so I feel like it kind of um, felt like a way of relief, I guess, for myself at least, and also like Tim being a part of the process, and like I feel like I was listening to a lot more stuff like I mentioned earlier, like Slap Happy and like Mayo Thompson, and like I got really into like a lot of like post-punk stuff, I guess. Like I was really into like this band, The Low Yo Yo. Um
Good
and
name. Good
yeah,
name.
good name. Um so just like a lot more like melodic stuff. I feel like so when we were writing Mint Chip and also having the perspective of like playing with Kate and playing like the reward stuff where it was so like rhythmic and again like that sort of like Deerhoof Kate thing where it's like there's so many melodies that are like working together. I feel like I wanted to bring some of that energy to Mint Chip and kind of try writing in that more in that style than Good Boy, which felt a little bit more garagey or something. I don't know. It's been so long since I listened to any of this stuff, so I'm like, I don't even remember what it sounds like.
It's good that there's no preparation. I'm catching you off guard. Yeah.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
are genuine reactions to these
Yes.
questions. How old were you when you worked on I have to or need to? I keep on forgetting, and
Have to. Yeah.
I have to. Feed Larry's Hawk
Yeah.
again. Apologies to White Fence. How old were you when Tim brought you into the studio to do that?
I think I was 20. Because I met Tim when I was 18 or 19, and because I met him in 2017. Yeah, I don't know. I think I was like either 20 or 21. I think I was 20 though.
And then the Kate LeBon tour, you were 22
I was, um, oh my God, I can't even remember.
ish,
I was
ish.
21 and then I turned 22 on tour.
Ah, okay. And keep in mind everybody, we're talking about from like 1920 to 2000 here. So there's like
Big gap. There's
it's a big gap.
a lot to sift through here.
So you really had a lot of experience with music. I mean, at a really young age.
Yeah, and I feel like again, it's like in that time frame, you're like learning so much about like it's just such a major life transition and being around such like amazing musicians in that time frame just like kind of changed so much for me. Um, so it's very like I don't know, I feel really grateful for it.
Yeah, these things occurring at this time is
Yeah,
really crucial.
yeah.
That's awesome, Dylan. How long had the band been in San Francisco for until you guys both moved to Los Angeles?
Um,
Roughly.
I mean, I guess 4 years, but also we weren't really doing anything because Cole was in college for 4 years, so
And then, of course, you got acquainted with everybody in LA while you didn't. So that also, yeah.
also, you know,
Understandable.
yeah. So I mean, I feel like we were a band, but we weren't, if that
Right.
makes
It was an on and off kind of process.
yeah, yeah. So I guess 4 years in SF.
So cut to working on Mint Chip in Los Angeles in all these kind of different experiences with making it. When you brought it into the studio, did you know at that time like, yeah, this is gonna be a shift?
Yeah, I feel like it felt like a shift, but then I don't think I realized how different it was from Good Boy until it was done. And I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty. I mean, it's not like extremely different, but it's different. And I feel like also because Tim produced it, having him in the studio with us was so exciting because I felt like we'd be working on something and like we'd all like look at each other and be like, "Oh my God, we gotta do this thing," and it was like what everybody was thinking.
Of course, through whispers,
Through
obviously.
whispers, lots
Yeah.
of vibes,
A lot of hand gestures.
hand gestures.
Sure.
So it just felt like again like that intuitive thing where like we were all on the same page, fortunately, and it just kind of like worked out in that way. So that was like also I think what made it feel so different was like also knowing someone else was going to be in the mix and that it was someone that we really trusted and knew we were like all on the same vibe. If that makes sense.
Right. And I mean, everybody's moved quickly. You and Tim, especially, it's like one day and or
Yeah,
maybe like an hour and a half, perhaps, and you're done.
yeah, exactly. We
If that.
recorded the entire record in an hour and a half.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And there's like a couple of mistakes in there. And there's definitely a 15-minute rest break.
yeah, and you gotta like keep it in there.
Right. Just super like let's go kind of a thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's just keep it moving.
yeah.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, that's you guys' energy there. Just like we
Gotta rip it.
we know what we want to make. We know how to do it. Let's get it done and let's put it out for the people.
Totally.
You're just like, yeah, no,
We're done here.
we need about, I don't know, 45 minutes. Do you have 45 minutes?
Yeah, totally.
It's
Like what?
it's not, we're not asking for anything insane.
Yeah.
But
What about
also,
time?
if you owned a if you owned a record studio, or a recording studio rather, if you owned that and somebody was like, we have like 45 minutes, and they walked in with the right confidence, you might be like, all right, fuck it, let's just see how,
Yeah.
let's see
Let's
45 minutes.
try.
If they walked in with your kind of energy, you, Tim Cole's kind of energy,
Oh yeah, I'd be like, for sure.
was there a specific point for the band that you felt like it started to gain traction? Was there like a turning point, if you will?
I don't know. Like my like frame of reference is so like I don't know if it ever has. Like I just don't like it's hard to think of like a moment or like if I don't know. Like I feel like we've had so many amazing opportunities, but like I feel like as it's happening, I'm not like we're gaining traction. Like I'm like this is crazy and we're doing this thing and it's cool. You know what I mean? Um, so I guess it's hard to say. Like I feel like I guess everything is just kind of like you move forward. And if people like it, that's cool. If they don't, that's also cool. But I guess um yeah, I guess it's hard to like notice those things not out of like not caring, but out of more like the
Because
focus.
you're in it, you're in like very deep, and maybe that's not just at your forefront, maybe that's on happening on the peripheral perhaps.
Yeah, like it's cool and I'm like, oh yeah, like I mean, I feel like when I meet people who like the band, like it means so much to me. But I'm not like, oh my God, this is it. Like this is happening. Like I'm like, oh, this is like a cool opportunity that we're gonna do and we should do it. And like, when I notice people like it, I'm like, oh, that's amazing. But I don't know if there's like a pivotal moment where I was like, this is like put us in this zone, um, because it feels like I don't know, everything is like a step towards something, and I'm not like this is it, you know, if that makes sense.
I'm with you. um did has the ability to keep on taking more and more steps forward, do you feel like that has given you a sense of success?
Yeah, I feel like also like being continuously inspired by new things, like which like I'm like sounds like stupid or whatever, but
No, I like it. Continue that sentence. I like where it's going, please.
like because the record that Cole and I are working on right now with like this kind of like new band direction is so different. Like it feels like every time we're doing something new and different, that feels like a form of success, if that makes sense. Because I'm just like so excited by new things that I'm like, oh my God, and I feel like it's more like the success of learning a new way of writing music and like trying to like crack the code of writing a new genre or like the possibilities within that. Um, sorry, some background noise on my end,
No, it's
but
good. Yeah, it's nice ambiance.
adding to the vibes. I guess that feels more like a form of success to me of like just being, yeah, I guess being able to move forward and like do new things and like see what happens with that. And that feels really valuable to me, kind of doing that sort of stuff, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. By the way, Dylan, I just want to take this moment. All of the answers have been terrific so
Oh,
far.
thank
Okay.
you.
We'll see if that continues. But as of right now, no, it has all made sense, and terrific, terrific answers.
Sweet.
Shit questions, terrific answers. That's how this podcast
Great
goes.
questions.
Yeah. I don't believe you. You're a bad liar. Anyways, Um, was the tour with King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard opening up for them, and that we're just hitting the year mark of that, right? Of that kind of occurring.
Yeah.
Was that a huge step for you?
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, that was so crazy. I mean, I had never like even like playing with other people played shows that big before. Um, and those guys are so fucking nice and amazing. But yeah, I mean, I definitely was like shitting myself sometimes. I was just like, we're about to play Red Rocks. This is fucked up. Like, not fucked up, but like just like,
Wow,
yeah, like whoa. And like being like the Beatles played here, or you know what I mean? Like just like
John
so
Denver and these kind of
James
people.
Blunt. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, James Blunt. Yeah, sure, of course.
But yeah, that was definitely like a huge, huge thing for us. And like, I mean, I feel even aside from like, I don't know, like the things that could come from that, like just playing these like crazy venues, like I'm like it's unbelievable to me. Like I guess that's what I mean. Like when we first started the band, like I never imagined anything like that would happen. And I kind of it is just feeling so in it all the time where it's just like, okay, like being focused on like what's actually happening right now. Like you don't think of those things happening at all, you know? Because you're just like, oh, we're doing the next step. And then like something like that comes along and you're like, oh my God, I didn't think this would ever happen. You know what I mean?
That is incredible that did happen. And now, I mean, obviously, I got to ask you the question of what song st stuck out to you from their catalog, from their discography. Was there one that really that you honed in on?
I love that song Catching Smoke. And I think it was um I think there's like I might be wrong, it might have been a different song from that record, but I saw someone with a I think it was a Catching Smoke shirt where it like had the like it was like notated or whatever. Like the melody was like notated, it was just like Catching Smoke.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I low-key want that shirt. It's pretty sick. But that song was like amazing. Like that, I really like that electronic record. And then I'm trying to think. Um some of like the older songs, like I like that song Rattlesnake,
Yeah, that's a good one.
like Cellophane. But I love that song Catching Smoke. Like I feel like we were like driving around and we'd be like, dude, let's listen to Catching Smoke. You know?
And please go back and listen to the Lucas Harwood interview. That's also I mean, Dylan, I know that you've listened to it, but for the folks at home who haven't, and even if you have, go back and listen to it again. That was kind of an endorsement. I don't know if I put it on a hype sticker or not, but yeah. And the band also opened up for Ty Segall recently too, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just plugging in my computer really quick.
Hey,
It's
we got it. This is Saturday business. This is
Saturday
activities.
business. I've been too busy watching Scandal, so my computer is gonna die.
No,
Um,
hey, you know what? I like that you're using the energy for something important. Okay?
yeah. If I'm not listening, gotta watch Scandal.
That's it.
That's it. It's my life.
Those are the fucking rules. Yeah, what are you gonna do?
The real stuff. Yeah, opening for Ty was so fun. It was our first full US tour, which was crazy. I mean, because we've technically been a band for so long, but like I love all those guys so much, and it was so fun getting to play with them every night and watch them every night, and um, it was so cool that that was like our first full US tour being with them,
Yeah.
and we're like, yeah, it was just sick to be able to like do that with our friends.
And Dylan, of course, the classic question of a Ty Segall song that stuck out to you.
Oh my God. Yeah, there's so many like amazing like timing things and like intricate moments on like the new record that were so cool to like listen to every night. But he was also playing Imaginary Person, and it was just like I remember like listening to that so young, and I feel like it like that almost like it just was like, oh my God, like I feel like I'm like back at this like point of being like a young person again, like hearing this song like in this way. So I feel like every time he played Imaginary Person, I was like, yeah. But like the last night, um, Rayla, the bass player for Sharpie Smile, and I like got in the
Sorry, real quick, Dylan. Please go check out Rayla's interview as well. Sorry to pause you there, but
no, we gotta pause for that.
I know
Rayla's the
I always feel bad when people are like telling something. I go, hey, wait, well,
like
before I forget, because I feel like if somebody sees that and they go, what the fuck? Like I was on the podcast
yeah,
and
yeah.
you
I
know,
actually didn't know that. That's sick. I
but
love
you know now, and then like as soon as we're done with this, you're gonna go listen to it like
yeah,
everybody else is going to, right? Well, everybody else is gonna go check out Cole's and then Lucas's
and
and then
Rayla.
Rayla's, right?
There you go. But we like got in the pit and we're like going off. Also, I love the song about Danae. Um, I think it's called Danae. I can't remember, but he was ending on that song every night, and I love the way that that song ends. Like I don't know if you've heard it, but like there's like such a cool like timing thing that he does at the end of that song.
I
That
haven't heard that, but I mean now I gotta go check it out. You gotta do
it's
some homework.
it was like very like felt like epic and sick.
So you're co-signing that. You're co-signing the song.
Yes, and co-signing is epic and sick.
Okay. I'll tell him that you said that about the song.
Yeah.
Was Melted an album that stuck out to you just from his entire catalog?
Yeah, I feel like I don't know, it's hard to say like there's been so many albums over the years that have like I don't know, they've been so different, but I really loved First Taste.
Yeah.
That album is so cool. Like it felt like this like I don't know, this like treasure. Like when it came out, I was just like, "Oh my God, this is so cool." Like yeah. Like cuz I feel like I can't remember. I feel like on that album he doesn't use guitars. Like he uses um like other like string stuff. So it was like cool like hearing the way that like I don't know, that formed on that record. I don't know, it has like a really interesting sound, and it was like cool to like as a guitar player to like try doing something different, you know?
Right.
And it feels like it really came through on that record.
Yeah. Um just to tie two people together for a second here. The Ty Segall White Fence album, the first one was just super really good.
Yeah, that shit's sick.
Yeah. Really fantastic album.
Yeah, I
Um
love the second one too.
yeah, Joy.
Joy, yeah.
I don't know if that first one had a title to it. I think it was just self-titled.
I think it's Hair. Is it Hair?
I think it is here.
Hair
Yeah.
and Joy.
And if anybody knows that, I mean, it's you, Dylan. And if you didn't correct me, I'd be like, well, what? I mean, like, what the fuck are we even talking about at
I
this
mean,
point?
like, I don't know. I have a terrible memory. Like, I was trying to like, I'm like, the questions about like the songs. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I hope I remember the names right. I can't remember.
Those are
But
super specific questions, and I do appreciate you playing ball on every one of them, Dylan.
it's good.
You've been on it.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Um, these shows with Ty, they were done under the new name, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sharpie Smile.
Sharpie Smile.
Very nice. Now, did the idea for the name come from the song of the same name from Kamikaze Palm Tree?
It did, yeah. Yeah, we were kind of like trying to find a different name because like the new the new record is so different, and like it just felt like we're such different people now. We're like trying to go in this new direction, and we're like, I don't know, like nothing kind of felt right. And although the song Sharpie Smile sounds a bit different from the new songs, like I feel like the essence of that like name felt so us, that it kind of like we had been racking our brains for like a new name, and then we're like Sharpie Smile, we're like that's it, we're Sharpie Smile now. Like it felt, we were like had a couple other name ideas and they were just like almost, and then we're like, oh yeah, that's it, and it felt so like natural and made so much sense.
So it was with this upcoming album that made that was the catalyst to switch the name.
Yeah, and I feel like the Thai tour kind of came, even though the record's not out yet, like it felt like a good opportunity to like, start getting the new name out there. So when it does come out, it's like, oh yeah, there's a connection to this new name and record. You know what I mean?
Right, right. I think that's smart. I like it.
Hell yeah.
Um, and I always like to see the FKA, the formerly
Oh yeah.
known as, and then it makes your brain go, okay, I these people look familiar, or
Yeah,
these
yeah.
songs sound, yeah, I like that.
Totally.
So I mean, it was a pretty unanimous decision between you and Cole, like, hey, we gotta switch things up here.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like when sometimes like when you're like making stuff and it's just kind of like becoming something else and you're kind of like this doesn't really like feel like the same thing anymore. It's almost like growing up in a different way, if that makes sense. Cole and I have grown up so much together that it just is like, oh yeah, we're just gonna keep growing up together, I guess.
Right. Yeah,
Growing up to something new.
I like it. Uh, was it kind of I mean, was it difficulty in switching the name that there was like some hype behind the old name and people knew you as the old name? And I mean, you did the King Giz tour
Yeah.
under it.
Yeah, I feel like there was, we definitely were like, oh fuck, like that's gonna be weird, but like trying to, I don't know, change after doing something that big and stuff. But also, I'm like, it's the age of the internet. Like, I feel like it's like easy to kind of like, it's never been easier to kind of follow something that you're interested in. So I'm like, I feel like might shoot us in the foot for a little bit, but I feel like it'll end up, I don't know.
It's more beneficial in the long run. I totally agree with you there. I guess it's just because it's not like flat out there that it's always been the same, that there's even an issue, which you know what? I want to change my stance. There's no issue with that at
Yeah,
all.
because it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's also so cool to be able to like morph into something new, and it feels like it's never been easier. Um, that might as well, even if it's like, I don't know, a little confusing at first. Like I feel like we're in this like period now where it's like we don't have a new record out, so it's like a little confusing. But I feel like once the next record, the first Sharpie Smile record comes out, it'll be a lot more like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Um, but we are in kind of like a transitional period that might be a little bit like what's happening. But
I like to look at it as it's a whole clean slate,
there you go.
and
There
you
you go.
guys it's an open field. Do whatever, blank canvas.
It's fun, starting a new thing.
It's fun. At the end of the day, it's fun.
Fun.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yes.
With some new ideas that have been coming into your mind now, with the kind of working on the new album, but even post those songs, newer songs than those, has the name change sparked new creativity with even newer songs that you feel like you can go in a different direction than you did with Kamikaze?
Yeah, I feel like so like I don't know. I feel like we've been so in this like new world that like the name kind of just like added to it, being like, oh yeah, we're like fully in this like new era. But yeah, I feel like this name. the reason why we're like, oh yeah, it's this is because it felt like it suited it so much. So it feels like it just kind of like tied together this idea we had instead of like being like, oh yeah, now it's Sharpie Smile, it's gonna like add this new element. Like it was like, oh, it was supposed to be this. You know what I mean? Um, so it kind of just again fell into place.
Perfect. Um, I mean, you guys have always been trying to add new elements and incorporate different sounds into this ever since it started, right?
Yeah.
Very nice. Uh, what have you gotten out of making music with Cole and the other members of this band for this amount of years?
I feel like I feel like just I think a big part of it is like again like kind of like growing up together and like we just kind of happen to always be into the same things at the same time. So it's like kind of growing together musically in this way has been like so cool for me because it feels like it kind of keeps me on my toes. And it's, I don't know, like I feel like having someone to experience that with has been really cool. Um, and then, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like just like that thing again of just like growing up together and getting to experience new music with somebody else and like learn about it together has been really like beneficial.
Awesome. What do you want the people who listen to these songs to get out of it?
Huh.
I know I mean, that's the last question and it's a doozy.
That's a hard one. I guess like well with Mint Chip, I feel like the whole vibe of that record is so open to interpretation, so I feel like I mean I guess both Mint Chip and Good Boy are so open to interpretation that's like I would love it if people were able to have like their own experience with the songs and like come up with their own ideas. Like I know like with the song Good Boy, during the Gizzard stuff, people would like come up and ask what that was about. And like I loved hearing everybody's ideas of what it was about and I kind of didn't want to impose anything on that or really like deluge much about or divulge much about
I like Deluge and I like Divulge. I like both of
they
those.
both work.
They're
Um,
both good.
like what the songs are about. And I feel like Mint Chip is so nonsensical that it kind of like lends itself to that a little bit more. Um, but yeah, I guess just like it would be cool if people had like their own experiences with it. And I like that like people come up and ask because it feels like it's like, oh yeah, like it piqued curiosity or like, I don't know,
Interest.
interest, which like I think is so valuable and cool. And like I'm grateful that that came about from that. But yeah, I guess just like it piquing interest in like what people think it's about.
Cool. I that's a tremendous answer. I really like that answer, Dylan. And actually, I did lie to you. This is the last question here.
Okay.
Is that the original of the album cover for? And I can't remember which one it is. Is it Good Boy?
Mint
Is that
Chip.
Mint Chip? Is that the original from Mint Chip?
It is, yeah. Nader Asargadi did the album art, and when we were choosing it, I was like, is there like a painting of it? It feels so like silly to have it in the background of the interview.
No, I love it. It's
It's the only
good.
place I have to sit. So
This is good promotion.
yes, I'm like, mint chip.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's gonna be the thumbnail right there. We already got
yeah.
that done. Bingo. Perfect.
Um, but yeah, so I was like, oh, is there like a painting of it? And Tim actually was like, you should see if there's like a painting of it. And he was like, yeah. And then I hope he doesn't care that I say this, but the back of the album, for the LP, like I really wanted the painting of that one, and he had put it out on the street. And I like And I was like, no, like why would, like don't like do that to like your art. Um
But that's such an art thing to do though.
it's such an art thing to do. And I also feel that so much because it's like when it's your own thing, I feel like it's so hard to like value it sometimes.
Right,
And you
right.
don't think anyone else is gonna love it, and then someone else
Absolutely.
loves it, and you're like, oh, that's really cool. So I was just like, oh my God. It's sad like for me to like when someone is like, I don't know, it was just kind of like whatever to me, and I'm like, no, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Um, we at least got this one, and I know I'm sure Cole will have it at some point. We're gonna share it forever.
Just gonna split it in half or something, or what?
Yeah,
I mean, we'll
right
figure it
down the
out.
middle. Yeah.
Right. So let's put it out there now. If you have the original painting of the piece on the back of the album,
Please give it to me.
and Dylan's just asking politely, and
Mm.
don't make her ask again, or else it's
Yeah.
not gonna be so nice.
There you go.
Dylan, thank you so much for coming on here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Sorry, my nails are only half done right now, but
They look good. Uh, this is a good Saturday.
hell yeah.
But before I let you go, there's some promo to do. So, Sharpie Smiles music is streaming everywhere. Wherever you get your music, that's where you get. And everything's now switched over, right?
It's actually still under Kamikaze Palm Tree, but if you search Sharpie Smile, a Kamikaze Palm Tree song will come up, but there will be Sharpie Smile, a separate page soon when we have.
Okay, awesome. And we're living in a digital age, so just take that extra step. Yeah. And everyone can find the Kamikaze merch through the Bandcamp, and then there's only one Bandcamp as of right now. Things are still getting worked out, right?
There's actually two. So there you can get Sharpie Smile merch on the Sharpie Smile Bandcamp. So it's just Sharpie Smile band
.bandcamp.com.
if you want to rep the new band. And we still, I actually don't know if we have any Kamikaze Palm Tree shirts anymore, but you can get KPT records on the Bandcamp and Drag City's website.
Right, right. And those of course will be linked below whatever you're listening to this on. All those nice links. And once there's more shows coming up, those will also be added to the website, the Sharpie Smile website.
Yeah, probably on Drag Cities as well. We're playing
Okay.
at Zebulon opening for Gorilla Toss July 10th, and we'll be playing some new songs, some of the Sharpie Smile songs. So
This might be out after that. So if it is, how did it go? I heard it went so well.
it was so fun. It was so swagged out. Um, all the hotties were there,
As per usual.
as per usual. Yeah,
It,
it was a
what
vibe.
one of the best sets. King Giz came up, Ty came up. It
Taylor
was
Swift was there.
Taylor Swift was there, but she did not come up, and that's I don't want to spoil. We'll talk about it the next time you come
You had
on.
to be there. You had to
Right,
be there is all I'll
R-
say.
right, and so next time that you know Sharpie Smile comes and plays, you better show up because you don't know who will be there.
Period.
There it is, and the new Instagram is at Sharpie Smile to keep up to date with everything: shows, news, tours, people,
All that.
places, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Red Rocks, everything that you can imagine
Everything.
is there. And do you have anything else to promote, Dylan?
Um, nope.
Thank you for checking. I do appreciate it.
I'm like, nope.
Hey, we're double checking here because it's Saturday, and that's also another part of Saturday that we didn't mention before.
Let's
It's
do it.
errands, it's doing nails, it's maybe going to a show, but it's also double checking
Double checking and listening.
and listening
Yeah.
is also key. All right, Dylan, thank you so much. I'm gonna stop recording this and I'll talk to you in a minute, okay?
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.